Hi everyone, my name is Autumn Peterson, and I'm just gonna talk a little bit about the life-changing experience that I was able to be a part of at Heartfire missions.
Hi, my name is Lexi and I'm going to share a very profound piece of my testimony that I've kept and I still keep extremely private. Just to give you some context, I'm currently about to go in my sophomore year of college at Grand Canyon University. I just want to start off by clarifying that this is something that I'm still very heavily processing through in my life. However, with that to say, my soul is on fire for Jesus with the outcome after this incident happened, and he just continues to douse it with lighter fluid day after day. My first Heartfire trip to Mexico happened 3 years ago during the heart of my sophomore year of high school.
I went on my first missions with Heartfire my junior year of high school, and I remember being super excited because it was kind of like my first huge kind of out-of-country missions trip, and we were going down to Mexico, specifically like the Yucatan. And I was super excited to do a medical missions trip, and I was just super pumped.
And I was just one of 18 students. I was 16, just some boring kid.
I remember the first day there, we were surprised with a trip to the beach while we were in Cancun, because that's where we flew into. And I was super excited. We all got on our swimsuits and left the bus and ran out and went swimming in the ocean. So I was super excited to get out in the water, and I remember being with a big group of people, and we were just kind of swimming out, having a good time. And then a few minutes later, I noticed that we were like kind of getting a little far out, and I was like, oh, we should probably start, swimming back towards shore. And so I see people kind of trying to start going to go back towards the shore. And the moment I start turn around and start swimming, I notice that I'm not going anywhere. I'm just like swimming in place, like one of those like spa pools. And so I was like, oh my goodness, I'm in a riptide right now. That is crazy.
I found myself in the position of being lost to the ocean of Cancun from drowning in a riptide. It came to the point where I barely had enough time to yell and breathe and stabilize my body by trying to keep my mouth or my nose above water and control my hyperventilation from panicking at the same time.
And when I'm turning it around, I look to my right. I notice like I've kind of broken off a little bit from this big chunk of girls, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like they look like they're struggling. And then I see this, like the one lifeguard that was on duty, like swimming in with like the big lifeguard board, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. Like people are like in it real rough right now.
I remember I turned around to look at the shore and I waved my arms for help and then just crash. I just dragged under the water as if I literally meant nothing. I was just a rag doll, and I came back up and the shore was just a little bit farther.
I was started looking around, and I noticed like this little like blip like to my left, and I'm like, what is that? And it's one of my friends, and she is really struggling. I can see her bobbing up and down and really like trying to crawl out of the water.
And I screamed out to Jesus as if he was a person just standing right in front of me. And I don't know the time frame of how long I was doing this, but the only thing that I kept saying was, I'm too young to die. I can't believe I'm about to die right now.
I had this moment in my mind where I was like, okay, like I know if I can like swim to the side and get to shore, like I can be okay, and maybe I can like find help for her. And but then I like stopped and I was like, there's only one lifeguard really that's on the beach right now, and he's like trying to rescue like 3 4 other girls on this board. There's no way that like there's somebody else. And I was like, God put this in my head where he was like, you're gonna help her.
I was just begging for my life, and very, very shortly, I saw someone on an orange board, and she reached her hand out, she reached her arm out, she pulled me up.
And I was like, okay, like I'm gonna do this. I'm going to save my friend, even if it costs my own life. I would rather die trying to save her life than live knowing that I could have done something, because I feel like God was like calling me to like do this. Then I finally got to her, and when I got to her, she like was super frazzled, like panicky, and I was just like, I don't know how, but God like just gave me this peace, and I was like, okay, like I'm gonna take you to shore, like grab my hand, like I got you, like we're gonna try to swim, okay, and I'm gonna kick and we're gonna make it.
And I don't remember what happened between then and from when I woke up or whatever happened to me on the shore.
Finally, we made it to shore, and she was able to, the paramedics were there.
I opened my eyes, and that was when I knew that I owed my life to Jesus, and I would never be the same again.
I just remember sitting just on the bus when we were going into the Yucatan to start the missions trip. That was the very beginning. I just remember like this sense of just peace and just like everything's gonna be okay, and God just totally worked through me. Like he set that situation up like absolutely perfectly, and I just knew that it wasn't my doing to take credit for it, because it was like just too good, you know, like he was there and he was working through all the people.
At the end of the week, I did end up getting baptized on that trip, looking at water, getting into a bathtub, look at a swimming pool. That was one of my biggest fears at that time. And through our conversation, he had said, the act of baptism is surrendering your fears, your life over to God by going underwater. What a really special way to give your fear of being underwater, getting in water, by actually going underwater. So I was still rocky up until the moment that I chose to get baptized, but I knew that it was something that if it was for Jesus, it was happening. There's nothing getting in my way.
At really hard times in my life, I just look back to that moment of being able to save my friend, and knowing that God is working through me no matter what. Whenever I get, scared about the future or like what my purpose is, I just remember that we as a people have such a bigger purpose, especially as Christians.
The day after my my incident, I absolutely dreaded coming home. I had to get a lot of therapy to process through a lot of different things. I developed a lot of developmental and psychological problems. I took a lot of time off of school the rest of the year. I really, really didn't want to come home, because I knew that when I came home, I would have to be pushed back into school at some point and seeing my friends, and doing things that I, to this day, still find extremely pointless and meaningless. The only thing that I found important was telling people about Christ, because I have firsthand experience of knowing how short life is and how it can be taken from you at any moment, expected or not. And if there are people out there that I know that don't have salvation, it doesn't matter. That's one of those things that I was saying, that I find very little important in life, and that is one of the things that I find very important. Those things are what I'm still developing through and working through. I can go to school now and go to work. Now, my main issue is just, how I combine the things that God desires for his children and combining the passion that I have for telling people that, life is really short, and just to put it bluntly, you could die tomorrow. I experienced that, and so why waste time when you think about that?
He's got it all planned out, and so I don't need to be afraid of trying to find my own purpose, because God is going to eventually lead me in that direction, and he's going to allow me to change lives.
I say this to encourage those who hear it to examine the things that might keep you from Christ. Not necessarily to, of course, go all in for him, but you opening yourself to what Jesus can do for you matters for other people's eternities.
And just know that God's working through you no matter what, and you're going to find that purpose. And it doesn't have to be like a crazy world changer, because we're going to be world changers in a way, either directly or indirectly. But God's got it all figured out, and all we have to do is trust in him and know that he's going to be there for us, and he's going to put us in those situations that change our lives and change other people's lives as well.